like a Hellcat.
Hello and welcome back to the channel where once again it's time for another Sega Saturn review, and today we're taking a look at that compilation of Sonic games released in August of 1997 known as Sonic Jam, which comprised Sonic the Hedgehog, Sonic the Hedgehog 2, Sonic 3 and of course Sonic and Knuckles all in one package. So I had to have a little think about how I was going to review this game, because if I went through the process of reviewing each individual game and then put it all together in one video, I kind of felt like the video would be too long and people might lose interest. So I'm going to just review it overall as one big experience, try and keep it short, sharp and snappy like I usually do, and of course go through the process of looking how it looks, how it sounds, how it plays and what kind of lifespan it's going to give you and whether it can make our top 10s. So, as always, we're going to start with the way the games within Sonic Jam look, and thankfully, being 2D games, they hold up so well all these years later. As soon as you put in Sonic 1, I should say put it in, it's not putting it in because it's not on the cartridge, but as soon as you start playing Sonic 1, it's still as visually appealing as it was back in 1991 when it came out. It's colourful, it's bright, it's sharp, and the same applies for Sonic 2 as well. I really like the visual style that both Sonic and Sonic 2 bring. They run fantastically, they're bright, sharp, colourful, all of those things, and they still are really appealing on the eye. Now Sonic 3 and Sonic and Knuckles give you a slightly different art style. I feel the colours perhaps are a little bit stronger in some areas on those games too, but they are still visually appealing, and all four of these games were right up there as some of the best looking games on the Mega Drive when they came out. Now of course we've also got the Sonic World area of the game, which is a three-dimensional Sonic area, and this is really interesting. Still to this day, it's probably the most interesting part of the compilation because you actually get to see Sonic running in 3D on the Saturn, and it's frustrating because this shows that the game, the 3D Sonic game that was never finished, Sonic Extreme, could have been implemented onto the Saturn. I mean, I could talk about that forever, so many other people have, but that 3D area of the game runs really well. It looks pretty decent for the time it came out. I'm sure they could have focused more effort on that and polished it up to make a whole entire game based on that engine, but of course they never did. That's another story. But overall, in the looks department, every game within Sonic Jam is still appealing on the eye to this day. So moving on to the sound effects and music next, and most people will be aware of the Mega Drive Sonic games having tremendous sound effects and music. This is something that just can't be denied by anybody. So much of the music within these games is memorable and you've got it in your head. It never leaves your head. Most of these tunes have been in my head since the games came out, and I've never forgotten them because they're so good. I think nearly everybody in the world must know the theme song for Green Hill Zone. They must, because it's so memorable and catchy, and that's the thing about the Sonic music. Lots of it is really, really catchy, and that is why it sticks in your mind. The sound effects as well, they are all brilliant, fitting sound effects, and you remember that sound effect for collecting a ring, for popping open a monitor, for hitting a bad guy. These are sound effects that will never leave you once you've played the game, and that is an example of how brilliant they are. But what I'm going to do is give you a few tracks of my personal liking so you can hear for yourselves just how good some of these musical scores within this game are. Unless you've lived under a rock for the past 30 years, then you'll probably know how the original Sonic games play. They're quite simplistic, really, moving from left to right with the D-pad, using the A, B or C buttons to jump, holding down with the A, B or C button to do your dash attack. It's pretty simplistic stuff. Moving through the stages, collecting rings, trying to collect the emeralds, and of course defeat Robotnik at the end of the game. It's pretty simplistic stuff. There's nothing overly complicated here. Now as the Sonic games progressed, you could use Tails, you could use Knuckles, you can collect different kinds of shields to have abilities, and different special stages were implemented into the games to give it that variety. But at its heart, it's a very simplistic game, and that is why Sonic is enjoyable for people of all ages, young or old. Anyone can pick it up and give it a go and enjoy themselves. So whilst it's a really simplistic playing series, all of them on the Mega Drive, they're all good playing games. Even Sonic World, the 3D bit, plays fairly well for saying it's sort of like just a prototype 3D area for Sonic, really. So overall, in the gameplay department, I haven't really got anything negative to say, because all of these original Sonic games play absolutely great. So in terms of content and lifespan, we've got 4 complete Sonic games here, which instantly gives you quite a lot of playability in the game. We've got added options to make the games easier, perhaps for players who aren't quite as good or want the game just to have a nice little playthrough without dying all the time. You can add this dash attack to the original Sonic game, which is nice as well. You've got the Sonic World, which gives you additional content too. There's challenges in that, and it gives you your best times for them overall. So there is quite a lot of content within the game. You can also do time attacks and go through the special stages individually. This can be quite good if you just want to practice them, or if they're just your favorite things to do on the Sonic game. So overall, in the content and lifespan department, there isn't really a lot of negative stuff to say, because you're combining 4 games into one, add in the Sonic World as well. So you're guaranteed to have loads of lifespan. You've got the fantastic 2-player that Sonic 2 brings as well. That's legendary. Still to this day, it's so enjoyable to have a blast on the 2-player for Sonic 2. So overall, in the content and lifespan department, Sonic Jam is very, very strong. So this brings us to our last 2 questions. Is Sonic Jam worth playing today? And does it make our Sega Saturn top 10? Now, without a doubt, the first 4 Sonic games are all great. They're all fun. They're all enjoyable to play, even in this day and age. They all hold up really well because they're 2D, so they don't look terrible. They still look pretty decent now. Is it essential to play them on the Saturn? Not necessarily, because they've been re-released on every console under the sun pretty much nowadays, so you can get them on practically anything. But one thing Sonic Jam does have still to an advantage is the fact it has the Sonic World on here, and I don't think that's been re-released on any other compilation whatsoever. One thing I would like to say is that this game could have been better if they'd have put the Master System versions of Sonic 1, Sonic 2 and Sonic Chaos on here, because they were just as essential Sonic playing experiences to myself, and I'm sure to many other children around the world as well as the Mega Drive ones. You know, there were a lot of children who didn't have the more expensive consoles at the start of the 90s. They only had Master Systems, and for them, Sonic was a Master System game, so it would have been good to see those put on here as well. But that aside, it's a great collection. It still plays really well. The big question is, does it make our Sega Saturn top 10? I'm not going to beat around the bush. It comes straight into my Sega Saturn top 10 as number 2 in the PAL region, because simply put, I think when you combine all these games together on one disc, it's a brilliant experience. It really, really is. I can't say anything other than that. It means it enters our worldwide Sega Saturn top 10 at number 5 as well. So it's got a really respectable position in both of them. Perhaps some people are going to disagree with me and say, wow, I'm being too positive, but I genuinely think it's a great collection, and they're all still great games to this day. And so that is why it is in there so high. I genuinely think as a collection overall, it's better than all those other games that I've placed it higher than. I really, really do. But an important question is, what do you think about Sonic Jam? Do you think I've placed it correctly in my top 10s? Let me know down below with a comment. And as always, I will be back in the near future with another review. Goodbye for now.